Clive Jefferson, Deputy Leader of the British National Party. I'm talking to Adam Walker today. Adam, we'd like to get a bit more background, if you like, the human angle about your arrest last week. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I was getting my car serviced and I got a phone call from the police and they said that they wanted to speak to me and could I go and see them? And I said, well, not particularly, because I was getting my car sorted. I couldn't go at that point in time, but I did tell them that I would be in the area later in the day, and they insisted that they come and see me. So they drove for about 30 miles or so, whereupon I was informed that officers were on their way from Lancashire to interview me, and I was promptly arrested in the car park and then bundled off to Bishop Auckland Police Station.
Yeah, we've seen this before many times. Absolutely no need for that. I'm sure we could have saved a full day in the life of 4 or 5 police officers and yourself, and thousands, if not tens of thousands of taxpayers' money. If they just rang you up, you would have surrendered yourself with a solicitor. There would be no need for your arrest. But of course, that wouldn't have been the story, would it?
No, they were after sensational headlines, I believe. BNP Chairman arrested for electoral irregularities. Makes a great headline, and that's exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, rather than BNP Chairman goes in for a chat.
Yeah, and fully cooperates with the police in his own time.
Exactly. You haven't been charged with this, but there's a rather bizarre, lengthy bail being put on you when you were released, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. I've been bailed until mid-November, 3 months from now. And ironically, I don't have any bail conditions at all. So it just goes to prove how weak the whole thing is.
Indeed. Well, we've seen it time and time again, really. I mean, we've seen it in Maryport when the BNP was polling 42% in the county elections. I suffered it myself. I was arrested about 5 times. Not one of those incidents resulted in a charge. It was all just for sensationalist headlines and just to put pressure on us and just to try and damage our name. And I think the same applies here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just harassment. That's all it is. We've been doing well in that area. We've got people who work very hard in that area for the people who live there. They do lit picks, they do various community-based activities to help people. And we're being harassed as a result of doing that.
Indeed. There's also a bigger picture, I think, and people who aren't politicised and maybe won't know, but former Cabinet Minister and Tory MP Eric Pickles has just released a huge damning report into the proper election fraud, wholesale, tens of thousands in Tower Hamlets last year. And Pickles has come under pressure from all the usual suspects for highlighting that it's predominantly the Muslim and Pakistani communities that are committing this fraud. Do you think that has a bearing on why you were dragged into this nonsense?
Yeah, dragged into this nonsense recently, which ironically coincides with the release of this report. So, I mean, they're talking about something that may or may not have happened around election time. That was 3 months ago. Why wasn't it done then? But I think it's definitely timed for the release of the report. I think that they're probably trying to take the pressure off Eric Pickles because he's pointed the finger at the Muslim community. And I think they need to point the finger at somebody else as well, just to get the balance right, for the sake of political correctness.
Indeed. That's been very interesting, Adam. I'm sure everybody will be delighted to see that you're still fighting fit and business as usual. I'd like to close now, really, with just thoughts of when you were talking about the work our people do in that area. It just brought to mind Tommy Cooney, one of the laziest Conservative councillors I've ever come across. Notorious for not even going in his ward, and he's turned to the police to do his dirty work for them, and I'm just a bit disappointed the police have actually fell for it.
It's quite sad, isn't it, when you think about the amount of money that at this point in time have been wasted on these inquiries, and you just think of the things that would be going on in Lancashire whilst we've got police officers travelling to County Durham. You think back to places like Rotherham, where you've got thousands of children gang raped by predominantly Pakistani Muslim paedophiles, and that's happening in Lancashire as well on a daily basis. So whilst that's happening, we've got officers wasting time, money and effort meandering their way up to County Durham to interview me on something that may or may not have happened 3 months ago. It's bizarre.
Yeah, well, I mean, travelling up to interview you on what I believe is just a politically motivated bit of pressure. But we'll leave it there, and I'll probably leave it maybe with a prediction. I've quite heavily criticised Lancashire Police for their part in this. They've apparently said the case is continued, so maybe a little bit of pre-warning. I would imagine that our next interview, you'll be talking about why I was arrested by them. So we'll leave it there, and thanks for sharing a bit of the personal side with what's going on there. So it's business as usual. There's no problems. We're fighting fit, and we anticipate no issues here.
Certainly not. We're strong people. We've got broad shoulders. We've got thick skin. We do what we have to do. We're here for our people. We're here for our families. We're here for our country. And people shouldn't forget that. We're going to stay here and fight.